There are some things that show up in your life wrapped in pretty paper, tied up with a bow and shining like treasure. But don't you be fooled. Not every gift is from God. Some things come into your life looking like a blessing, but operating like a curse. Some opportunities are dressed in gold, but underneath they are poison. Stop accepting every package that knocks on the door of your destiny, because some of them were sent straight from the pits of hell. Not every door is divine. Sometimes life will present you with a path that looks easy, wide, and welcoming, and everything about it seems to be falling into place without resistance. But ease is not always evidence of alignment. There are doors the enemy knows how to open too. He can make things appear smooth, polished, and perfect, so that you will assume it must be right. But what if the very thing that looks like an open door is in fact a trap designed to lure you away from your purpose? The enemy will never come at you with horns, fire, and smoke. He comes in a way that looks appealing, a way that looks like it was made just for you. He will send an opportunity that feeds your ego, but starves your spirit, an open door that seems to lift you higher, but secretly pulls you away from your true assignment. That is why discernment is not just a gift, it is survival. If you live your life chasing every open door, you may step through one that closes behind you and leaves you locked in a prison of compromise. Think about how many times you have prayed for something, and when it showed up, you discovered later it wasn't what you asked for at all. You asked for peace, and the enemy sent distraction. You asked for companionship, and the enemy sent bondage. You asked for provision, and the enemy sent greed. He will present it as the very thing you think you need. But he hides the fine print under the glitter of the wrapping. You need to learn to pause at the threshold of every door and ask, who sent this? Don't just assume it is God because it is available. Don't just accept it because it came easily. Don't just walk in because the door was unlocked. Even prisons have open doors. When the enemy is trying to bait you inside, it takes strength to stand in front of something you've been waiting on and refuse to step into it because your spirit doesn't bear witness. It takes courage to say no when everything in your flesh is screaming yes. That's why discernment is not always comfortable. It will often make you turn away from what looks good, sounds good, and feels good, because it is not good for your destiny. There are some doors that will flatter you with applause, some doors that will tempt you with money, some doors that will entice you with promises of recognition and influence. But if that door pulls you out of alignment with your assignment, it is not a blessing, it is a detour. Imagine how many lives have been wasted because someone mistook a wide door for a God-given door. They thought because the opportunity was available, it must have been ordained. But availability is not the same as destiny. The enemy has access to availability too. He can make the wrong people available, the wrong jobs available, the wrong paths available. He can make it look like success when in fact it is sabotage. That's why you can't measure a door by how open it is. You have to measure it by the spirit behind it. Ask yourself, does this door lead me closer to purpose or further away? Does this door feed my calling or does it starve it? Does this door line up with the character of God or does it ask me to compromise who I am? These are the questions that separate the deceived from the discerning. There is nothing worse than walking into a door that looked like destiny but turned into disaster. There's nothing more heartbreaking than wasting years in a place you never should have entered in the first place. But you don't have to live that way. You can cultivate the kind of spirit that pauses, that prays, that waits for clarity before stepping in. You can ask for wisdom before action, direction before movement. Not every open door deserves your feet. Not every invitation deserves your acceptance. Not every opportunity deserves your yes. The enemy knows how to decorate a door, but only God knows the future on the other side of it. If you're not careful, you will celebrate the opening only to regret the arrival. So be wise, be discerning, be cautious, because not every door is divine. The enemy is a master of disguise, and one of his greatest weapons is the counterfeit blessing. A counterfeit doesn't look fake at first glance. It shines, it sparkles, it seems real enough to be trusted, but when you take a closer look, you begin to realize it doesn't carry the weight, the value, or the purity of the real thing. That is exactly how the enemy works. He studies what you desire. He studies what you pray for. He studies what you long for in your quiet moments. And then he sends a substitute that looks close enough to trick the impatient heart. He knows you've been waiting for love, so he sends you attention. He knows you've been waiting for provision, so he sends you temptation wrapped in opportunity. He knows you've been waiting for joy, so he sends you distractions that make you laugh for a moment but leave you empty after. A counterfeit doesn't come to you appearing broken. It comes dressed up to deceive you. And if you don't know how to test the spirit behind what you're receiving, you will end up calling poison a blessing. The reason counterfeits are so dangerous is because they feed your surface needs while starving your deeper ones. That job that pays you well, but strips away your purpose, is a counterfeit. That relationship that makes you feel wanted, but doesn't help you grow, is a counterfeit. That friendship that entertains you, but gossips about you behind closed doors, is a counterfeit. They look like they are what you have been waiting for, but they leave you emptier than before. The devil knows you won't accept destruction if it shows up obvious, so he packages it as what you've been praying for. That is why you cannot just ask, does this look good? You must ask, does this bear good fruit? Because the fruit will always expose the counterfeit. The counterfeit blessing will glitter and draw crowds, but over time it reveals itself because it will not sustain you. Real blessings from God feed your soul as much as your situation. They don't drain your strength, they multiply it. They don't bring confusion, they bring clarity. They don't force you to compromise who you are. They confirm who you were created to be. But when the counterfeit shows up, it feels good for a season and then starts unraveling the very foundation of your peace. You start losing sleep, you start doubting yourself, you start compromising your values little by little until one day you look up and realize you've been robbed. That is the work of a counterfeit. It does not bless you, it breaks you slowly. How many people have wasted years holding to something counterfeit because it looked too shiny to let go? They held onto a relationship that was never healthy because they confused comfort with covenant. They clung to a business opportunity that was never from God because they confused wealth with wisdom. They stayed connected to people who only drained them because they confused attention with love. The enemy will always make the counterfeit look easier, look faster, look more convenient, but what comes easy isn't always what comes from God. The counterfeit requires no sacrifice, no patience, no growth, because its only goal is to distract you from the real thing. Counterfeits are dangerous because they steal your time. And time is the one thing you can never get back. Every year you spend chasing something that is not authentic is a year you could have been walking in the fullness of what God truly had for you. That is why discernment is not optional. It is necessary. You must learn to examine what comes into your life and test it against truth. Does this relationship push me toward purpose or pull me away from it? Does this opportunity stretch me into growth or tempt me into compromise? Does this door feed my peace or does it starve it? The counterfeit can look so good that even wise people get fooled, but the difference between being fooled and being faithful is how long you choose to hold on once you see the signs. If you pay attention, the counterfeit always exposes itself. It begins with small cracks, moments where you see the truth shine through the disguise. It might be the lie they tell you that doesn't add up, the energy you feel when they walk into the room, the way the opportunity leaves you uneasy even while it looks good on paper. Those are the signals. That is your spirit whispering, this isn't right. But too many ignore the whispers because the counterfeit appeals to what they want right now. They silence their discernment to protect their desire. And that is how the trap closes. The enemy knows if he can distract you long enough with the imitation, you will miss the timing of the real blessing. He doesn't even have to take it from you. He just has to keep you busy with what looks like it until the moment passes. A counterfeit blessing is not meant to last. It is meant to waste. Waste your peace, waste your energy, waste your vision, and waste your time. It is an imitation designed to keep you settling for less than what was promised. That is why you cannot be impressed by glitter. You cannot be blinded by shine. You cannot let your hunger make you gullible. You must hold out for what is real, even if waiting costs you comfort, even if waiting costs you convenience, even if waiting costs you popularity, because the counterfeit will never be worth the price you pay, for it true gifts from God bring peace, not chaos. And that peace is not something shallow or temporary. It is a deep stillness that reaches down into your spirit, even when storms rage around you. When God places something in your life, it does not torment your mind. It does not drain your energy. It does not make you question your worth. Instead, it anchors you. But when the enemy sends something disguised as a gift, it unsettles you. It might look like it's helping you, but underneath, it is stripping away your balance, your confidence, your sanity. That's why you must learn to protect your peace as if it were treasure, because it is. Peace is not weakness, it is strength. Peace is not passivity, it is power. The enemy wants to rob you of it because he knows that a restless, anxious, distracted mind cannot hear the voice of God clearly. Think about how often you've accepted things in your life simply because they looked good, but later discovered they were costing you your sleep, your joy, and your stability. You thought it was a blessing, but it left you more broken than before. That's because the enemy has no problem sending you opportunities that glitter, but carry a heavy price tag, and the cost is always your peace. Real blessings never demand you lose yourself. Real gifts never force you into a cycle of confusion. If something in your life constantly makes you doubt your worth, constantly drains you, constantly pulls you away from the values you know are right, that is not a gift. That is a weapon disguised as one. Protecting your peace means learning how to identify these counterfeits quickly and refusing to allow them space in your life. Peace is not the absence of problems. It is the presence of God in the middle of problems. That means even when life is hard, when responsibilities are heavy, and when challenges rise, you can still walk with an unshakable calm when what you are carrying is truly from Him. That's the difference. Chaos confuses you, but peace clarifies you. Chaos scatters you, but peace gathers you. Chaos wears you down, but peace builds you up. And every time the enemy tries to drop off something that brings chaos, you need the courage to say no. Protecting your peace is not selfish. It is survival, because without peace, your mind will spiral. Your emotions will crash and your vision will blur. Some of you have been letting people into your life who carry nothing but chaos and then wondering why you can't rest. You've been entertaining relationships that steal your joy, connections that keep you walking on eggshells, and opportunities that force you to compromise. That is why your spirit feels unsettled. That's why your sleep is broken. That's why your energy is gone. You are carrying things that are not yours to carry. Protecting your peace sometimes means closing doors, walking away, and saying no even when your heart wants to say yes. It means choosing long-term stability over short-term gratification. It means valuing the quiet in your soul more than the noise of approval from people. The enemy doesn't just attack with obvious weapons. He attacks by planting chaos into your environment, hoping you will accept it and call it normal. He will place someone in your life who keeps you in constant drama and call it love. He will offer you an opportunity that looks profitable but demands that you lose your integrity and call it success. He will tempt you with distractions that eat away your time and call it fun. He tries to normalize chaos so that you stop recognizing it as an attack. But if you ever learn to protect your peace, you will see those things for what they really are. You will stop excusing them. You will stop tolerating them. You will stop sacrificing your well-being for the sake of appearances. Protecting your peace is not about running away from life. It is about choosing what aligns with your spirit. When you guard your peace, you set boundaries that tell the enemy he cannot just walk in and drop chaos at your feet. You stop accepting every invitation. You stop chasing every opportunity. You stop letting every voice speak into your mind. You become intentional about what you allow to influence your atmosphere. Because your peace is the soil where your purpose grows, and if the soil is constantly poisoned by confusion and stress, your destiny cannot flourish the way it was meant to. There will always be things competing for your attention, people pulling at your energy, and opportunities knocking at your door. But not everything deserves a yes. The measure is simple. Does it bring peace or does it bring chaos? Does it calm your spirit or does it disturb it? Does it add to your life or does it drain you? If it costs your peace, it is too expensive. If it robs your joy, it is not worth it. If it leaves you unsettled, it was never meant for you. Peace is not optional, it is essential. And when you learn to value it as treasure, you will stop settling for anything that threatens it. There is a power that comes when you finally learn how to say no, and not just any no, but a no without apology, a no without hesitation, a no that is firm because it is rooted in the clarity of who you are and what you are called to do. Too many people stay bound because they have not yet learned that their destiny is tied to their ability to reject what is not for them. The enemy knows this, so he keeps sending distractions dressed as opportunities, temptations wrapped up like treasures, people that speak sweet words but bring bitter fruit. And the trap is sprung when you feel too guilty or too insecure to simply refuse. Saying yes feels easier in the moment. It feels safer because it avoids confrontation. It feels kinder because it keeps people from being disappointed in you. But what looks like kindness toward them often ends up being cruelty toward yourself. Every time you say yes to something you were never supposed to accept, you are saying no to the very thing that would have brought life and peace to your soul. Learning to say no is not about being harsh. It is about being healthy. It is about realizing that your time, your energy, your spirit, and your focus are sacred, and you cannot afford to let them be wasted on what was sent to destroy you. Some of you have been trapped in cycles because you have been afraid to refuse the counterfeit gifts that keep showing up at your door. You thought you were being gracious by entertaining them, but in reality, you were being ensnared. Every time you accepted what you knew was not right, you were giving the enemy permission to clutter your life with distractions. The freedom you crave will only come when you stop apologizing for protecting your calling. There are people who will pressure you to accept less than what you deserve. They will try to manipulate you into silence, to guilt you into compromise, to flatter you into submission. But you must know who you are strongly enough to reject it. If it diminishes your value, if it compromises your character, if it steals your peace, you do not need it. No is a complete sentence. And when you say it with conviction, you are not just refusing a thing, you are declaring to heaven and to hell alike that you are serious about your assignment. Too often we confuse acceptance with love. We think that if we just keep saying yes to everyone and everything, we will finally be validated, finally be recognized, finally be accepted. But all it does is make us prisoners of approval. Living for the yes of others is the fastest way to lose yourself. You become stretched thin, burdened with expectations, drained of purpose, and suffocated by obligations that were never meant to be yours. Learning to say no frees you from that prison. It allows you to prioritize your peace, your growth, and your destiny without constantly trying to carry the weight of what others expect from you. The enemy thrives on people who are too timid to say no. That is why he keeps sending the same distractions, the same toxic relationships, the same empty opportunities, because he knows you have not yet mastered the strength of refusal. But when you reach the point where you can shut the door firmly and walk away without guilt, his strategy collapses. He cannot force his way into your life. He can only entice, persuade, and seduce. He can only present what looks appealing and wait to see if you will take the bait. But a strong no disrupts his plan. A strong no cuts off the cycle. A strong no creates the space you need for what is truly meant for you. There is a discipline in choosing no. It means silencing the part of you that craves validation. It means training your spirit to value purpose over popularity. It means building boundaries so high that the enemy cannot just walk into your life and drop chaos at your feet. Some may misunderstand you. Some may call you selfish. Some may accuse you of being hard, but they do not understand that your refusal is not about arrogance. It is about assignment. You are not rejecting them out of pride. You are rejecting the spirit behind what they carry. The truth is, every yes costs you something, and if you do not learn to measure the cost, you will end up bankrupt in your spirit. Some of you are exhausted not because life is too heavy, but because you have been saying yes to too much. Every demand, every request, every distraction, every counterfeit opportunity. You keep opening the door and letting it in. But the moment you learn to stand up and say no, you reclaim your strength, your clarity, and your focus. You begin to move lighter because you are no longer carrying what doesn't belong to you. No is not just a refusal. It is a redirection. It is the act of closing the wrong door so that the right one can open. It is the declaration that you will not waste your energy on what does not align with your destiny. It is the courage to look at something that looks appealing, that looks convenient, that looks like it would satisfy you for a moment, and still turn it away because you know the long-term cost is too great. When you embrace the power of no, you stop living as a slave to every voice and start living as a steward of your own soul. You stop accepting the devil's deliveries and start protecting the sacredness of your peace and purpose